Hello, welcome to Castanet Penticton's Mayor's Minute. I'm Colin Dacre, joined here by the Mayor, Andrew Jacobite.
Hello.
So this week, City Council got their first look at the policy framework for recreational cannabis storefronts and its use in the city. A couple, I guess, of the highlights, 300-meter buffer zones from schools, and as is what's suggested, none of this is set in stone, but and also banning them from the 1 to 300 blocks of Main Street and Front Street. I mean, and just ask you off the top, I mean, what do you think about those? Instead of capping the number of pot shops, the city's opting to go with the exclusion zones.
Well, I think one of the recommendations was having some sort of cap, and they sort of used, I think, eight as a number because that's what the liquor stores are, and so that's probably the closest comparison. And I mean, for me, having some sort of, it's easier to add more than to sort of reduce. So, you know, it is a new industry. So having a cap similar to the liquor stores is probably a good start. Exclusion zones around schools, I think everyone is in favor of that, and staff has actually went further than what is allowed for exclusion zones around schools for liquor stores. So I think that's a good thing. The proposal of exclusion zones around the 300 blocks, 1, 2, and 3, and Front Street downtown, I'm not so sure about. I think there's, I'm not sure if there's just some phobia around maybe the clientele that these retail environments might bring, or there's been, you know, anecdotal conversation in the past of other businesses downtown, and I think it's difficult for the city to regulate what can be here and what can't be there. And I think if there is going to be high demand for these licenses, and these businesses in part of that approval process is putting together a business plan, a letter on how they fit in the community, and investing in the look and feel of their building. You know, I think having an upscale look and feel of a building in your prime retail area is probably a good thing, and that might push others to, you know, up their game. So I think that's probably a good thing. And if you're going to have boundaries between one store and another store, you're probably going to get 2, maybe 3 in the downtown area. So you know, I don't think there's going to be a clustering of shops anyways. And
Town of Soyuz this week made some provincial news headlines by declaring that they're not going to allow government-run liquor or cannabis stores, but they only want private. In this framework, there was no mention of the government stores. So I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think, you know, I think the mayor of Soyuz just the other day was commenting how, you know, they see this as an opportunity for the local business economy, and so they want to help support that. So that concept makes sense. That conversation has really never been put forth to us, and whether that gets sort of in the next level of engagements gets talked about or addressed. I mean, even if it is a government-owned store, there still are employees that are living here and spending their money here, so it is still creating economic activity for the community and the region. So, you know, I think that's still a good thing, and you know, we'll see what everyone else says, and I don't see that as a big issue. I mean, because there'd probably only be one store, and the rest would probably be the private operators.
All right. So yeah, I guess just to reiterate, I mean, the way it's proposed right now, I mean, the only real thing that you see an issue with are those downtown, the Main Street and Front Street exclusion zone singled out there.
Yeah, I think there was a couple comments from council of, hey, let the market decide how many and where they should be. You know, which I agree. And starting with some sort of cap, like I said before, you can always add to that after a year if things are going well. It is a known industry, but the inclusion zones downtown, that seemed to spark a bit of debate amongst some members of council. And of course, this was just the opening of the next level engagement, so no one's really dug their feet into a position, and the city hasn't adopted a formal policy yet. That can still shift as the community starts. Now that there's a basic framework to have comment around, hopefully now that gets to that next level and we can really refine what's going to be good for our community.
All right, that was this week's Castanet Penticton's Mayor's Minute. If you have a question you'd like to submit, you can send it to letters@castanet.net. Till next time.